Well, as probably you know, I've been taking on as a project reciting the Lankavatara Sutra, Suzuki's translation of the Lankavatara, on an unabridged basis. It's kind of a tough slog, and I'm just sort of making my way through it little piece by piece. And of course, I've also quoted quite a bit from Suzuki's separate volume called Studies in Lankavatara. And if you search for videos regarding the Lankavatara Sutra, you're going to come across a couple of lectures by a Professor Pierre Grimes. And what I found interesting was that at the beginning of one of his lectures on the Lankavatara, he quoted Suzuki from his book Studies in the Lankavatara Sutra, and I wanted to recite that particular section to you because I've also recited this section to students at the community college level who are studying world religions and have read a chapter on Buddhism, but probably have had no other exposure to Buddhism other than that. But in any case, what Suzuki says is, the one most important thing that students of Buddhism have to realize at the very outset of their study is that Buddhism is not a system of philosophy, has nothing to do with speculations as such, has no intention to present a logically coherent formula of thought. What the Buddhist teaching professes to do is to get us truthfully acquainted with the ultimate facts of existence. It requires us firmly to grasp facts based on personal experience. For when this is attained, all the rest, including intellection, theorization, or philosophizing, will follow by itself according to the requirements of a mind in which the experience takes place. He goes on to say that it will therefore be a great mistake to take the Mahayana Sutras, such as the Prajnaparamita or the Lankavatara, for a series of, quote, discourses on the metaphysics of the Mahayana school of Buddhism. Going on a little bit further down, he says, as far as the Mahayana Sutras are concerned, perhaps excepting a very few, they have nothing to do with metaphysics or epistemology. What they contain are plain statements of facts experienced by the Indian Buddhist minds. That is, they are most direct statements based on the intuitive knowledge these minds have gained regarding the religious life. Their statements may be logically untenable or impossible, but they have not lost sight of the facts or experiences that have flashed through their minds. All their paradoxes, contradictions, incomprehensibilities, and even all their apparently nonsensical utterances must be reduced first of all to their intuitions. Buddhist students are therefore requested to dig patiently down to the bedrock, which forms the basis of these utterances, if they desire to make them reveal their inmost secrets. So this message is particularly relevant to the Lankavatara because, there are a lot of concepts and theories that seem to be getting expressed in the Lanka, as well as in some of the other Mahayana sutras. But of course, the Lanka repeatedly sort of puts the philosophers in a separate sort of inferior category relative to the Buddhas in terms of the way they interpret the teachings and the way they view most fundamental reality. So again, this is just to keep in mind that all of these Mahayana sutras and Buddhism in general are designed to help us experience Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, which is defined in the glossary in this volume as the supreme enlightenment realized by the Buddha. In other words, we're all destined to become Buddhas. It's because we have the Buddha nature, and even if it's clouded over with ignorance, with greed, with aversion or hatred or anger, nevertheless, we do have the potential to get at least glimpses of the prajna or wisdom that can allow the light to shine through.